Hello everyone. Right, I'm going to admit that I don't know a huge amount of this girl, but she, other than the fact that she's starting to piss a few people off now, the lady I'm talking about is a lady by the name of Victoria Wardrobe. Now, there's a few reasons why. There's a few reasons. The main one is one of her claims, which lots of people don't believe, and I can understand why they don't believe it. And another side is whether, if she isn't what she's claiming she is, then why is she doing what she's doing? I'll explain what I mean. Right. She's 17 years old, she comes from Georgia, Atlanta. Now, all of her life, up until, I'd probably say the last couple of years, her mum and her dad have been saying, "You're white, you're white, you're white." However, she's got it into her head now that she's African American descent. She says she's a quarter, in one place I've seen her say that she's 25% because her paternal grandfather is just black, and then on her Ancestry.com she said she's 45% black, or 44% black, but she hasn't proved anything with like the email with the details in or anything like that. She's just showing a picture, which can quite easily be doctored by anybody. Even I can, and I have rudimentary Photoshop skills, I'd still be able to do something like that. So, she has been, Keemstar said to her, "You do it again, we'll pay for it." Whether or not they do it in a scientifically sound way, meaning somebody goes to her, takes the sample, then sends it off, is a different matter, because even I won't believe it, because she has a lot of friends around her that are at least half, that have a decent percentage of African American in them, that she could quite easily just say, "Can you do this?" Because, what else is she going to do? So, there are a lot of things, obviously, that upset people about her, and a lot of it, I think, is down to the whole "I'm black." She's talking ghetto. What I'll do, as well as leaving the JK video on this, I'm also going to leave Trey Melvin's video where he talks about the fact that people said to him, "You don't talk black." But I'll leave that above because it shows you the difference as to what people say talking black is, when it's actually more like talking ghetto. So I'll go into that with you. But she's doing a lot of things like, she has girls that she puts in, which, yeah, white people can have them done, but to me they don't, I don't know, a white woman with a grill doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry, but it doesn't. Twerking, very much, I'm not saying that other races don't do it, because they do, including white people, but she tries to twerk, but she can't. She talks like she was raised in poverty in a predominantly black area. She talks like she was raised around people. They speak like they miss letters out of words, and she speaks like that, even though she's the daughter of a successful home builder, and she was not raised in poverty at all. She always says, "I'm Section 6 and look at me now," and all that. And apparently that's the lifestyle that she's showing now. She's always had. She's always been able to go on holidays abroad. She's always been able to go to places and buy expensive clothes because her parents are of well means, not of poverty as she claims they are. Now, there are instances where people are part black, but they don't even look the slightest bit black. Look at the Richie girls, Lionel Richie's two daughters. They are both at, I think, 50%, or maybe a little bit more, but they don't look black. So, there is instances where it happens where you are partially black, but you don't show signs of being black. But that doesn't mean that somebody on the street who doesn't look like is black, unless they have the genetic background to prove that they are black. Now, she claims she's pregnant. She's been claiming this for months, but she's not showing. She's saying that it's on July the 5th, 2017, Victoria claimed that she was pregnant with Papa J's baby. Papa J denies that he's the father. And in August of 2017, she stated that the person who she's dating cheated on her with a 14-year-old celebrity. Now, there is a possibility that that particular person is Danielle Bergoli, which is the Catch Me Outside girl, because there is a feud between the two. Part of it is boy related, part of it is Danielle was apparently trying to move in on her friend's man, but Danielle said, no, you're the one that's moving in on your friend's man, and things like that. So, and then she said, the person who I'm dating cheated on me with a 14-year-old celebrity. Well, it's a little bit like Danielle. So, and there's a few going on between the two, and it's ridiculous because they are two girls, and when I say girls, I mean girls, that are acting like they know everything, that are acting like they know what everything means, what life means, when they don't know jack. She's offensive because she uses the N-word. Now, I don't use the N-word. I've never used the N-word, and I have no intentions of using the N-word. And it's not a word I use in my everyday vocabulary, but this girl is, and then she wonders why people get pissed off with her. And it's like, because she's saying the N-word. And the whole thing of her saying that I'm black is, some people are saying it may be true. We'll just have to wait and see on that one. Some people are saying it's an act, which is where I'm swaying towards. Because she's got a lot of money and a lot of following and a lot of celebrity off this. And she's very much, very much a polarizing person. She does have African American friends. And there is one video of her where she's arguing with several African Americans. And there's this African American in the corner of the video banging his head against the window. I just feel like saying to him, I feel you, mate, I feel you. As they actually show that in the JK video. Where, because I remember one of them pointing out, look at the guy banging his head against the wall. This girl literally is unhinged. She doesn't make any sense at all, in any way. She does a lot of things completely out of place. Now, if you have a weave or a wig, I'll explain what I'm on about in a minute. If you have a weave or a wig, you can't access your scalp, either because the weave's in the way or the wig's in the way. So a lot of people of African American descent that wear either weaves or wigs, if they have a hitchy head because they can't go like this, they go like this. In several of her videos, I've noticed Woahhvicky, even though she hasn't got a weave, even though she hasn't got a wig on, even though she hasn't even got braids on, she's doing that. And it's like, you're doing it completely out of place and completely out of context. Because to me, just because you're a certain colour doesn't mean you speak a certain way. Now, yeah, there are some places which are predominantly of a specific colour and they have a specific accent, which is fine. But when you're talking about a place like America, you can go into the most ghetto place in America and it is not just one race. It isn't just Africans, Americans, it's African Americans, Hispanics, whites. And to me, although there is a lot of people that say it's, you can talk black, to me it's not that, and I won't explain it, but best person to explain it is Trey Melvin. He has a video which is about people say to him, well, you don't sound black. And he says, I didn't know colours had a sound. It's like trying to say, why doesn't Obama talk like that? And just because you're from a certain area doesn't mean you have to speak a certain way. Just because you're from a certain class doesn't mean you can't be educated. So realistically, considering my class status when I was little and now, which is pretty much the same class status, I shouldn't have the level of education that I do, but I do. And people say to me, how do you know the long words? You know, how do you know the meaning of this? How do you know the meaning of that? It's like, because I did 3 years in university for it, which is the average in this country. Before anybody says anything, in this country we do 3 years of university, not 4. It is one of those things that certain education levels have a language, and sometimes even people with high level of education do sometimes sound like, show their accents. I do quite often. It's one of those things. But her claiming to be things she's not, like I said, the race issue, we shall have to wait and see, but I severely doubt it. The fact that she's trying to say that she grew up in poverty, she grew up with nothing, when she grew up with plenty, to me is more of an issue, because she's being disingenuous to the people that she knows, she's being disingenuous to those that are around her, she's being disingenuous to those that watch her, because she's saying to them, if you pretend to be this, 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 this and this, you can get what you want, which isn't the way life works. And while at the minute she is riding high on the coattails of whatever success that she's got, it won't last, because something's going to happen and it's going to bite her in the ass. Whether or not this DNA test through Keemstar comes back saying she's completely white, we don't know. We'll have to wait and see. And probably the only way of doing it would be to go through a reputable source, such as several TV shows in America. We have one over here that does pretty much the same thing, and those are probably the best ways to do it. If I could do it, if I had the equipment to do it, I'd do it here, but I don't. And although I did do degree level genetics, I didn't do doctorate level genetics, so I have a high understanding of genetics. I don't have it that high. And what worries me more with Vicky is the influence that she's got on the people that watch her, and the influence that she has over the young people that watch her. The other major issue is one of her videos got taken down because she did a diss track on Rice Gum, and she was calling him very nasty names. This is covered highly in the JK News segment, so I would recommend watching that. Because Rice Gum's of Asian descent, and she was saying certain words that are classed as racist. And then when people called her out, she says, well, I'm only being racist to Rice Gum. It's like, hold on a minute. You're claiming to be part of an ethnic group, and you're being racist towards a specific person of a specific race. Then you're completely disproving the fact that a lot of people say that people of a minority can't be racist, when she's proven that she's being racist towards an Asian. Now, Rice Gum isn't my favourite person, but just because he's Asian doesn't mean jack shite. Doesn't mean anything. Just because he's Asian doesn't mean that he's less of a human being. Just because Sweezy's black doesn't mean he's less of a human being. You know, doesn't mean anything. Every single person on this planet is a person. And while they are entitled to their beliefs, they have to make sure that they don't harm other people. Now, just because you're a certain race doesn't mean you're less of than somebody else. And the way that Vicky is behaving is one of the most rage-inducing things she could do. The race issue in America is already a hotbed of, you don't want to touch this shit. There is a lot of race issues in America, and a lot of those race issues are being compounded by people like this that are just making things worse. She's saying she's black, but she's done nothing to benefit the people of black origin, of African origin in America. And even if it comes out that she's white and she's like, well, I feel black, and it's like, well, that doesn't make any difference. Just because you feel black doesn't make you black. I feel like I'm an alien, don't make me an alien. You know what I mean? It's rage-inducing that a 17-year-old is allowed to act like this. Now, I know her parents don't like this. I've tried to get her to stop, but she hasn't, and that is an issue. But eventually this is going to come and bite her on the arse, and while she thinks it's all fun and games at the moment, it isn't going to stay that way. And also what she does now is literally going to, once everything falls apart, everything that she's done now that's on the internet, that's recorded in one way or another, when she tries to get a normal life, it will come back and hurt her. That's the way these things work. Anyway, before I get even more mad, but this girl just, it's like the race issue in America is already a big hotbed. You don't want girls like this making things even worse. But yeah, I would definitely watch the video that JK did on this, and the video that I'm going to link to Trey Melvin on, where it says you don't sound, I think the title is something, you don't sound black. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's what it is. But Vicky, should you ever watch this, stop it, because you're making things a lot worse for a lot of people. And just because you think it's fun and entertaining doesn't mean it is. The rest of this planet has to live with this. You're putting stuff out into the world that's poisoning young people into thinking that they can act like other people from another culture without getting pushback, and that isn't going to work. And you complain, you say people are hating. No, people are just trying to say to you, stop it. Because you're just making a rod for your own back. Now, this video will probably never be seen by her, which is fine. But, oh God, she just... Oh! I'm going to stop now before I get too mad. That's one thing about these call-out videos. I get mad. Anyway, I'm going to go now. Stay safe, be good, have fun, and I will see you very, very soon.